was about 2 weeks ago, we talked about, well, we talked about the profile. And maybe I should go back to even more to the beginning. When we first talked about LinkedIn, I talked about kind of the 3 phases, or the 3 keys to success. The first key is obviously making sure that your profile is set up correctly. We talked about that 2 weeks ago. We talked about making sure that the summary section tells people who you are, how you can help them, how they can request your help. We talked about the importance of kind of putting PowerPoints or videos to give more information about how your agency helps people. We talked about obviously making sure all this stuff's complete, that you have where you used to work, where you went to school, you know, if you have some blogs to put them in, to make sure you have your skills listed and all that. So we talked about that 2 weeks ago and how it's so important to have a profile that's designed to convert or educate somebody on how you can help them. Then last week we went in and we talked about the importance of organizing our database and how it's not enough to just connect with somebody. Once you connect with them, we went through how to go in, set up different folders and tags, and tag them into different folders. And one of the things I mentioned last week is that becomes kind of the precursor or the foundation for then using LinkedIn's marketing tools. And I said a few times, the problem with LinkedIn is time management. You know, anybody can kind of go in and figure out how it all works, but the masters, the people that are truly gifted at it, they've got it down to a science so that they can utilize LinkedIn very, very efficiently. And I think my point is that you can't utilize LinkedIn efficiently unless you have the profile set up correctly, and that when you're connecting with people, you're putting them into different folders, because that allows you to then use the mass marketing tools on LinkedIn. And that's really what I'm going to talk about today. I'm going to talk about how to send messages out, what type of strategy you should be using, and how to implement it. So let's first talk about what I call daily updates and daily connections. So let me kind of take you through a hypothetical. Let's say once a week you log into LinkedIn, and in the upper right-hand corner, you'll see a little guy with a plus, and I'm trying to highlight it. You know, who knows if you can see it well, but right there's a little guy with a plus. So if you go into LinkedIn and you see, let's say, it's going to be lit up red, and maybe you see the number 3 next to it, it probably means that you have 3 people that want to connect with you. What I would suggest doing is go on there, click on that, and accept the 3 people that are inviting you to connect. Okay, so in most cases, that's where people stop. They say, okay, I connected with that guy. I don't know what's going to happen, but at least I'm connected. What I want you guys to start to do is after you connect with them, I want you to click on connections, and you'll end up at this page. Okay, and this is kind of, again, shows you where all your connections are. And you'll see there's 2 sorting filters. I want you to select on the first one and select New. What that's going to do is that's going to bring up all the people that you've just recently connected with. So let's just say this guy, Robert, Drew, and Nick, are the 3 people that had just asked me to connect with them, and I accepted. What I want you guys to do is I want you to select those 3 names, and I want you to, of course, hit tag, like we talked about last week, and put them in folders. But for today, I want to teach you about messaging them. So you're going to select the 3 new people, and you're going to click Message. And what that's going to do is it's going to allow you to send a message to all 3 of them at once. And what I've kind of done here is I've created what I call the pre-written connection message, and you'll see it right here. Basically, what I want everyone to do after today's webinar is I want you to write up something very similar. Do it on your computer. You know, if you have Microsoft Word, that's, you know, probably a pretty good place to put it. And what you want to do is you want to write up something that kind of just tells people what you specialize in, what your website is, and how they can contact you. And then I want you to get in the habit of every time somebody connects with you, you go in to your computer, you have this document saved right on your desktop, you just highlight it, you hit copy, and then you go to that message and you hit paste. And maybe you make the subject, thanks for connecting. Right? So where I'm trying to take you guys is I'm trying to get you to get in the habit of communicating with these people you've connected with. Because one thing I've learned along the way, if you do that, one, it becomes a touch, but who knows what's going to come from it. Could be a lead, could be a few referrals, who knows. So my point is you want to do this efficiently. You don't want to be sitting there and personally writing messages to each person. In my opinion, it makes a lot more sense to have something pre-written. That's a little bit generic. So I'll just kind of read this out. Here's my pre-written example, and I tried to make it more of an insurance agent. I just wanted to reach out quickly and thank you for connecting with me on LinkedIn. I specialize in helping contractors and restaurant owners manage their liability and risk. You can learn more about my agency at bobsinsurance.com and can contact me directly at bob@bobsinsurance.com. Please let me know what types of business opportunities you're looking for. Maybe I can refer people to you. Again, so you always want to keep it positive. But I think the whole point of this, it's not the verbiage, guys. The point is having this system in place where you're constantly connecting with people and you're constantly touching them by sending out this message to them. And if you know what you're doing, it really should only take 15 seconds. And I think that's the thing that people struggle with. For whatever reason, it's bringing that consistency on a week-by-week basis. But at the bare minimum, if you can just get in the habit of once a week going into LinkedIn and obviously going through the people that are asking you to connect, accept their connections, send them the pre-written message, I'm very, very confident you're going to see activity and results. Yeah, it's an extra, minute or two, but at the end of the day, this is what you guys should be craving. It's attention, talking to people. It's everything a good salesman does. It's just the new modern way it happens. So that's kind of method one for actually communicating with people using LinkedIn's messaging tools. The other way you can communicate with them is sending out a mass message. And that was kind of an example of a mass message. Of course, it only went to 3 people. But what you can do, and I kind of talked about this a lot last week. Let's say you have 1,000 connections. LinkedIn lets you create groups or folders. In those folders, you can put up to 50 people. So if you have 1,000 connections, that's 20 folders, right? What you have the ability to do is click on this little filter called All Contacts and click on the tag button. Here are all my folders. Now, I have more than 20. I probably have 70. But I've kind of put all my contacts into these kind of strategic folders. And it gives me the ability to click on this folder. Let's call it A Website 1. It pulls up all the people in the folder, right? I can then hit the Select All button and the Message button. And what it does is, boom, it's allowing me to send this message to all these people in this folder. And I think the key, guys, is that LinkedIn, when you send a message to somebody, you have a higher percentage of that person reading the message. People say, well, why is that? Well, the reason is when you send out a LinkedIn message, it goes to the person's email, but it looks very unique in their email. It'll say, you've received a LinkedIn message from your connection, Ken French. And my point is people are kind of in awe of that, and they're much more likely to read it. So it gives you a higher probability of your email getting read rather than just using a traditional email marketing system. So the beauty of LinkedIn, as I talked about last week, is that you can really organize the people you're connected with. So think about it like this. Let's say you're a traditional personal, commercial, and life insurance agency, okay? Wouldn't it make sense to get all the people that are your clients connected with you and then to put them into folders? Maybe it's personal insurance clients, commercial insurance clients, life insurance clients, and then kind of cross-market. So maybe you go into your life insurance folder and send them an email, send them a LinkedIn message about how you also offer auto and home insurance and that it's a good complement to the life insurance product they have. My point is this all can be accomplished very quickly and efficiently if you've gone in and organized all your connections into organized folders. So what you should be thinking about is the type of message you want to send out. I wouldn't send these messages out every day. I would do it maybe once a month. But, of course, the message should be targeted. It should have some sort of call to action or landing page, and it doesn't need to be long. And, you know, one of the things I've been very successful with in the past is using LinkedIn to market webinars that are free and that kind of train people on things. I've used it to market specific services I offer. But I think the key has always been targeting. You know, again, my clients are CFPs, insurance agents, accountants. I have them all into different folders because the message I send to an accountant is going to be different than the message I send to an employee benefits broker, if that makes sense. So I don't want to confuse you today. I just want to get you guys thinking about doing the little things you need to do to get to a point where you're going to be successful. Because one of the things I often see is people say, well, that sounds really terrific, Ken. I would love to be able to do that. So then I'll do kind of a private consulting session with the guy, and I'll see he has 3,000 connections, but he's never taken the time to organize any of his connections. So what ends up happening is he really can't utilize the tools LinkedIn offers because he would have to go in and he'd have to select all 3,000 people to send the message to them, which could take him 5 hours. That's crazy. You don't want to be taking 5 hours to send out the message. You want to take 1 minute. So I guess my point is all these little training webinars we try to offer, it's trying to get you into a system where you're doing the little stuff each week so it doesn't feel overwhelming, if that makes sense. So I'm going to put this on YouTube in a few minutes. If anyone missed last week's webinar, which was a pretty good one, just email me. I'd be happy to send you the YouTube to that. That just kind of reviews the organization and tagging tools. And then next week, we're going to focus a little bit more on email marketing and incorporating that into Facebook a little bit. So look forward to that webinar. Appreciate you coming on today, and hopefully this was helpful. Have a good one.